Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making another Caitlin Clark video, another time where Caitlin Clark is getting hated on to the extreme, and I'm here to not really defend her, but kind of just give my opinion on what exactly happened this time. I've made many Caitlin Clark videos in the past, from when she was in college at Iowa, all the way through a couple of videos of her getting drafted, to her getting beaten up by other players, her getting hated by other WNBA players, and now here recently, another kind of situation happened where players, I believe it was Seattle, the WNBA team, kind of was hating on Caitlin Clark throughout the game. Now there's like a whole bunch of WNBA players coming out. Apparently they're just not a fan of her. And then apparently an NBA star kind of voices his opinion on his podcast, kind of talking about the reason why Caitlin Clark is getting hated the way she's getting hated. So what I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to go ahead and look at what that NBA star said, kind of go over it. I will have a full link to the article down in the description below if you want to go check it out for yourself. And then pretty much like all my other videos, just kind of give my opinion on what I think about the player, what the players are kind of saying about Caitlin Clark, and just give my opinion on kind of how I feel about Caitlin Clark, how she's doing right now, because I think she's doing pretty good in the WNBA. I don't see the hate. I don't see why they're hating. I'm just here to give my opinion on it. Last thing before we go any further, like I said, I made a lot of videos on Caitlin Clark. I'll have a link to the playlist up there in the description, up there in the top right part of the screen, if you want to go check it out, and I'll also put it down in the description below, so you guys can go check out any Caitlin Clark videos I made in the past. But I'm gonna go and get straight into this. If you're going to enjoy it, as always, make sure you're going to drop a like on this video. Be very much appreciated to do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, like I said, with the Seattle Star, it says here Jewel Lloyd was the player that happened. This was after the Indiana Fever beat the Seattle Storm 92-75. There was like a whole, I don't want to say a debacle or like a just altercation. It was more of just like a very unnecessary meeting at the very end of the game where Seattle Storm, apparently, they were getting blown out. Indiana Fever, I believe, did not put their bench in. Seattle Storm cleared their benches. They got all their reserves in. Indiana Fever did not do it. They waited to another timeout. I guess the coaches kind of got pissed off at each other. Caitlin Clark from the other sideline was kind of screaming over to the other sideline, like, shut the fuck up. Quit over. Stop crying. It's all over already. And then after the game was over, apparently, Jewel Lloyd, something that's going on with her and also a lot of other WNBA, I guess you could say, like, more stars, more veteran players, they just don't want to talk about Caitlin Clark. Like, anytime a reporter brings up Caitlin Clark's name, they don't want to discuss her. When Jewel Lloyd was being interviewed after the game, she said this, and I quote, "Yeah, I'm going to talk about our rookies," quote. Lloyd began to reporters saying, quote, "Nika's been great. She's been awesome, putting her work in. I think Jordan has been phenomenal too, the second year of her growth. Our focus is on our team and what we need to do as a community to be better," quote. Even earlier on in the season, it says here, whenever Jewel Lloyd in Seattle played Indiana Fever, they beat them back then, and they were asked about Caitlin Clark because it was their first time playing against Caitlin Clark. It'd be no different than like if back whenever Steph Curry, first time he got into the NBA, or got into the NBA, LeBron James, first time in the NBA, a lot of these big time stars when it's their rookie season, you ask about them, it'd be the same thing with the NFL. A lot of these rookie quarterbacks, defensive players are going to be asked, like, what was it like playing against this quarterback? And they're going to probably say things like, you know, they were good, they make some good plays, it was exciting to play against them, I can't wait to play against them in the rest of my future. As it says here, instead of talking about Clark, the star guard made sure to divert attention back to her squad and what they were doing, saying, quote, "It's never about them, it's about us," quote. It's like no matter what Caitlin Clark does, whether she has a bad game, whether she has a good game, whether she's nowhere in your business, whether she could be sick out of the game, nobody wants to talk about it. She could have went out there and put up 50 points. These players will act like she wasn't even there. It's like in the NBA when Wnba was making great plays last year. Everybody talked about Wnba coming to the league, like, oh, he's going to be good. Don't be surprised if he's just puts up 20 points, 25 points, 10 rebounds, which he obviously did. I don't see players like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. These guys were not hating on the Wnba. They were saying before Wnba even got drafted, they were like, that boy's a bad brother. He's going to tear up the league. Like, they were hyping him up ever from Zion Williamson to LA. Even this year, Anthony Sarr, I think the name for the Atlanta Hawks, when he was drafted, people were saying, this dude's going to be good. Get ready for him. It's like with the NBA, guys are like hyping up the players that are getting drafted. The rookies, we're hyping them up. With the WNBA, they're just hating on everybody. Most importantly, Caitlin Clark. Now, like I said right here, it says here, former NBA star, All-Star Gilbert Arenas has now shared his honest thoughts on his controversial incident. Speaking on a recent episode on his podcast, Gil's Arena, the former Most Improved Player of the Year award winner, revealed why this type of behavior against Caitlin Clark has been magnified significantly. He says on his podcast, quote, "The problem is this, and this is why it looks like it's hate. They know the cameras are on Clark, but consciously, they're not understanding that all of the cameras are watching one person. So when you try to do something, remember they're catching that shit. So even if you do that to everyone, it don't matter. They're looking to see if you do it to her. And now I kind of understand where he's coming from, because he's basically saying the cameras are always going to be on her. It's like with the NBA. The cameras are always going to be on your stars, like your big time players. And with these players, they don't want to get beat up by Caitlin Clark or go out there and let Caitlin Clark put 20 or 30 or 40 on their heads, because then it's like everybody's going to look at you like you're the worst player in the league. Now, a couple of things I kind of want to discuss. Number one, there's been, I don't want to say rumors because it's kind of been talked about a lot. People are trying to bring race into this and try to say like people only like Caitlin Clark, and I've said this in a former video as well, saying that they're trying to say it's only because of race, because she's white, that's the reason everybody loves her so much. That's bullshit. I don't see why it matters what race you are for how, if you win awards, if you're doing good. And I think it kind of began with the whole Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark for the Rookie of the Year. I think it doesn't matter about what color you are, how tall you are, whatever you do in the game. All that matters is, let me look at your points, let me look at your rebounds, your assists, your field goal percentage, how you impact your team, how your team's doing. When you're not on the court, does your team suck? When you're on the court, is your team like 10 times better? That is how I would determine who wins Rookie of the Year. And then for the rest of their futures, I just don't understand why these players, especially like with the veterans, like Diana Rossini especially, she is like hating, and not really like hating, but more importantly, it's like almost like a cold shoulder. Like she just acts like Caitlin Clark just doesn't exist. Like, hello ladies, like she exists, she's in your league, she's going to be here for the next 10-15 years. I've seen one post online talking about maybe it's like an ego thing. The WNBA girls, they just have like a big ego, and the fact that a lot of the fame and attention is kind of be pulled away from them towards Caitlin Clark. They're not a fan of it. They're pissed off by it. And don't get me wrong, I kind of understand it, because at one point with the WNBA, your league was small, everybody was kind of like not really paying attention to you, and the attention was kind of spread across every single player. Now, a lot of attention comes to the WNBA, but it's mainly for Caitlin Clark. Now, I've said this in a video in the past. People talked about Caitlin Clark, how it's like, oh, we don't want her here, we don't need her here, we'd be fine. Imagine if Caitlin Clark got hurt. Imagine if she got hurt right now. Not a bad injury, I'm not going to wish pain on anybody, but let's just say she sprained her ankle. She's out the rest of like the next couple of weeks. Maybe she misses the playoffs. And do you want to know how bad the ratings will be for WNBA? Extremely bad. Because last time I checked, the most watched WNBA games right now, the last time I looked, were games with Caitlin Clark. Like, if Caitlin Clark went out there, and like I said, I don't wish injury to anybody, but if she went out there and like tore her ACL, and she was going to be out the rest of the season, and probably some of next season, the WNBA would suffer. The best way analogy-wise I can put this is, I'm not saying Caitlin Clark is Michael Jordan skill-wise, but her fame, her popularity, the way fans look at her, she's like another Michael Jordan. Like when she's out there on the court, the kids, the fans, the parents, they look at her like she's a god. So I would just kind of say this. The way Caitlin Clark, I would look at it is this. For Caitlin, she's going to handle her business. She doesn't really talk back too much. If she's getting like really beefed up at, or like somebody is really trying to go at her, she will yell back. She will chirp back. She's got no problem doing that. But she just doesn't seem like the type of person that's going to like go at you, yell at you firsthand, try to get in your face. She ain't like that. She's going to handle her business on the court. If you want to get in her ear and chirp, cool. You score 2 points, I'll score 20 points. It's like the rest of these players, they want to do more talking than they do scoring. And for the players right now that, like I said, they just want to talk, they just want to go at Caitlin Clark, put your ego aside. If you really hate her that much, try to beat her on the court. Do that for once. If you can beat her on the court, put her away. Maybe she won't make the playoffs. Maybe you won't have to hear from her for the rest of the playoffs. But you and I both know deep down, the WNBA commissioner and the people that run the WNBA, they want Caitlin Clark in the playoffs so bad. It's almost like Shohei Ohtani not making the playoffs in the MLB. The fans need Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs in the MLB. Same thing for Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. But like I said, I think Caitlin Clark's going to be fine. She'll do her thing. And all the other WNBA players, they need to chill out. Let your ego come down just a little bit. But other than that, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys did go and enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy, as always, make sure you go and drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. If you wanted to watch the entirety of today's video, thank you very much. And like I said, if you have a different opinion, do you agree or disagree with anything I said? Do you think Caitlin Clark and the WNBA players are just being a bunch of big bitches? Do you think they have big egos? Do you think they hate her for too much or for no fucking reason? Whatever your opinion maybe whenever it comes to the whole Caitlin Clark fans and players hating on her, leave a complete opinion down in the comment section down below. Be more welcome to talk about with you guys. If you're a fan of the content that I do poster and you want to go and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. And do not forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified so I can post. But without further ado, this has been Dylan Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.